Hey, everybody. Thank you and welcome to another edition of DreamScope, the broadcast that inspires. I'm so excited for today's interview because I have the pleasure of interviewing somebody that you guys know. I'm sure you follow. If you don't, you definitely need to follow him. He is a massive motivator, has been a wonderful addition to my daily life because I tune in all the time. And for those of you who are just coming on with us, you can definitely tweet on the left-hand side. You can also comment in the comment section. What we're going to do is a one-on-one interview. Hold your questions would be best to the end. At the very end, we'll give you a little bit of time to come in and either pop in the seat or ask a question. So guys, we're going to go ahead and get started. I'm very excited today. So today I have with me Mr. David Gibson. David Gibson is catching his dreams and inspiring others to do the same. As a speaker, dream coach, radio personality, boxer, and many other various hats, he helps ordinary people live extraordinary lives by helping them identify and build their strengths and amplify their virtues. He has taken his passion and is motivated to make his enthusiasm for living a maximized life as contagious to others as possible. Most of you know him on Periscope as D1 Gibson. He gets on every morning. He is such a motivator. So welcome, David Gibson.
Thank you for having me, Crystal. Welcome, everyone.
So I always say that, we have these bios and these long things that we read that say what we do and who we are. But I always like to ask a person personally, one-on-one, who are you? So who is David Gibson? Give us an insight of who you are.
David Gibson is really just an ordinary guy that has extraordinary vision, thinks big, thinks outside the box. I love to challenge the status quo. I've made up my mind that I'm going to fulfill my dreams and maximize every amount of potential that God has given me by operating to the fullest with my gifts and my talents in order to make the world a better place. I'm a firm believer that each and every person that exists and that lives and that heart is beating on the inside of them, they have a specific purpose. They have a calling. They have something they have to give to the world. So that is my mission, to make sure that is possible.
So what is your dream? You're always pushing us to live our dreams and go after it every morning. But what is the bigger picture for you?
My dream is to simply, as my nephew's coming in here, you want to give a quick shout out? Say hey to everybody. Yeah. Okay. Say what's up to everybody. Tell them what they need to do, man. I'm sorry, y'all. He insists.
Hello.
Hello.
Come right here.
What are you doing?
I'm talking to you.
Okay. Just say hi and then bye. All right, man. Tell them what they need to do. Tell them to take ownership.
Not say hi, bye.
Okay. That's enough, man. That's enough. Sorry about that, y'all, but he's a people person and he loves to be in the mix of everything. But ultimately, my dream is to travel the world and inspire future leaders really to become their best. And doing that through public speaking, as well as I do inspirational videos, as well as I'm starting a movement where I'm partnering with a lot of spoken word artists, musicians, poets, dancers, and really putting together a production where essentially we'll be traveling the world and touring and ultimately showing individuals that you can do what you put your mind to, and really that you have gifts and that you have talents to give to the world. And many individuals, they're blinded to the fact that they have something to give to the world for many and various reasons, including fear, doubt, the stereotypes and prejudice of society that have been handed in, against them. They're blinded by their past. And, I'm here to kind of just challenge the status quo of really what knowledge and intelligence essentially is and what gifts and talents really can be used for. I think this generation now, in the world that we live in, we often are confused by what intelligence truly is, and how people have significance and value. Many people ask the question, really, how smart are you, or how intelligent are you? And that's evident in really the way that we kind of gauge really how smart someone may become or is at a current specific stance in their life, based upon the IQ, SAT scores, GPA scores, and grade point averages. And really the question is not to ask how intelligent are you, but the question to ask is how are you intelligent? And when you look at it from different perspectives and you look at those two specific questions, when you ask, how intelligent are you? It makes it seem as if there is a ceiling, or, you know, a ceiling, so to speak, that kind of puts a limit on how smart or how gifted or how talented you are. But when you ask the question, how are you intelligent? That is saying that you have some form of intelligence, you have some form of skill, some form of talent or gift that you've been blessed with, and that has been inherited on the inside of you. And your job is to go out there and find it.
Yes.
And once you find that, you cultivate that specific skill, make it become better, and you can turn your passion into your purpose, and ultimately that purpose into a profession that makes a living for you, and becoming successful at it and inspiring the world at the same time. So that's ultimately my goal, to really encourage individuals that you can do whatever you want to put your mind to. If you want to become an artist, you can go out there and be an artist and travel the world. If you want to be a poet, you can go out there and be a rhetorical genius and inspire people by telling stories. If you want to be a chef, you can go out there and inspire people by cooking food.
Yeah.
There's various ways that you can go out there and use your gifts and use your talents, and ultimately becoming your best to inspire the world.
Absolutely. And you're doing that every day. I think everybody that's on here can attest to joining your broadcast in the morning. And I think you are like the perfect person to fire up. Like, I feel like I can go into battle after I listen to you. So you're definitely walking in that, you know, and that's amazing.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, that's amazing. So one thing I wanted to ask you that I read in your bio, you know, it says, after noticing a common disconnect between life and meaning, you made this personal mission. So I kind of like to get into that. What was that disconnect with life?
Well, it's something that I find with a lot of people that I interact with, a lot of people that I kind of deal with on a day-to-day basis. There is that huge disconnect, or a void, so to speak, in many individuals' lives, where many times we can just go through the motions in life. We go through a routine. We get so complacent, and we get so content, and we do things without even knowing why we do them. And essentially, you know, you're not going to find happiness. You're not going to find meaning. You're not going to find significance in your life if you don't necessarily know why you do something. If you're not necessarily doing the very things that put a smile on your face, the things that make you happy, the things that you're passionate about. And it's evident in really a lot of the things that are going on in our societies, that many people are struggling. Many people are going and waking up every single morning and they're hating what they do. Many people are struggling to find that true, authentic happiness and that long-lasting fulfillment, that deep enjoyment in life. And essentially, I give the metaphor a lot of times, you know, an eagle will never be satisfied being thrown into the water and told to swim, or eagle will never be satisfied in a cage that's designed for a parrot. And that's what many people are struggling with when you have a body and a life full of gifts and talents and passions, and you're not allowing these things to be birthed into your life and allowing them to live and flourish in your life. You are that eagle that's trapped inside that cage that's trying to spread your wings. And really, you're being consolidated by fear. You're being oppressed by doubt and discouragement. And ultimately, it's stealing and robbing your joy, your peace, and your happiness. And many people, they try to fill that specific void with drug addiction. They try to fill it with going and spending money, overspending and eating and obesity. Is many various ways that people try to fill that void. And essentially, the way that you fill that void and bridge that gap is you fill it with meaning. You fill it with purpose. And I'm a firm believer that every passion that has been gifted to us, every passion that we have and we live every single day, has a purpose stamp to it. It has a purpose stamp to it. So when you fill that void with your meaning and your significance, ultimately you're filling it with your passion, which is found in your dream. So that's been my mission, to encourage each and every person that I encounter that in order to really truly love the life that you live, you want to love what you do, you know? So go out there and do what you love the most. You've got to go out there and be willing to face the challenges. You've got to go out there and face the difficulties, but you've got to make up your mind that this is the life that I want to live, because my happiness is at stake. My joy is at stake, you know, and if I don't make this sacrifice, if I don't discipline myself and dedicate my life to what I love the most, I'm never going to be truly happy.
Absolutely. So what was that moment for you? I'm so inquisitive of what was it in your life, or what moment in your life brought you to that place where you just knew this is my purpose and I'm going after it no matter what?
Absolutely. Well, it came at a time, and you guys have heard me tell the story many times on various occasions on different scopes, when I was working this job for 8 years in sales. And granted, I started this job when I was like 18 years old, and really naive to the fact of really what life is. Of course, 18 years old, you thought you had everything figured out. And I had made up my mind I was going in this specific direction in life. And I was blessed to have many mentors that were put into my life that kind of helped guide me and put me on, training wheels to show me the right direction to go. And I bumped my head a few times and they picked me up and encouraged me to keep moving forward. But essentially, I was working this job and going to school full time and working full time at the same time. And yeah, I mean, you think about it, I had no social life, so to speak. So really, I was just focused on doing what I needed to do to become successful. I'm a first generation college graduate. My parents never went to college and they didn't know the ins and outs of really what college was about. So I made up my mind. This is what I wanted. My mother literally beat that into me, even though she didn't get her college education, she made up her mind. She said, listen, you're going to be smart. You're going to be somebody. You're going to do something with your life. You're not settling for anything less than your best. You go out there and you'll get it. So while I was doing this, of course, I was going through the motions and I was paying my paying my tuition through my salary, and everything was good until I started graduating. I started having that internal conversation, like what is life really about? What I'm doing, I really don't feel any meaning in what I'm doing. And over a period of time, this feeling and this conversation kind of evolved into a greater massive amount that every single day it became like a picture that was painted in my mind that I saw every single morning. Mm-hmm. And ultimately I was unhappy. I was very unhappy. And I remember the feeling like, man, I'm getting sleep, but I'm not getting any rest. My spirit was low. I was unhappy. The things that I used to love and enjoy, I now hate. And it puts a distaste in my mouth. I would get frustrated very easily. I didn't feel as if I was using my gifts, my talents, nor all of my potential and my abilities. And I kept hearing this small voice in the back of my head that was telling me I need to go out there and become a speaker and inspire individuals to live their dreams and become the best that they can be. And if you guys knew me maybe 5 years ago, or not even 5 years ago, 4 years ago, you would definitely say that is a contradiction to who I am. Because I'm very quiet, very meek, so to speak, in case you didn't notice, but very quiet, and speaking in front of people was something that was out of the equation, let alone speaking to someone on a one-on-one basis, or let alone having an interview through through Blab or through Periscope. That was not something that was in my character. And it wasn't until my uncle had passed away in 2012. He passed away about 5 days before Thanksgiving, 5 or 4 days before Thanksgiving in 2012. And me and my uncle were very close. And I kept hearing this voice, David, you need to speak at this funeral. And I'm like, man, David, get out of your mind, man. You're thinking too crazy. And I kept hearing this voice. Me and him were very close, and I'd always give him the blues, kind of like my nephew gives me the blues now. So I think that's kind of like payback and karma coming at me. But I would always give him the blues, and I kept hearing this voice saying, David, I need you to go out there and encourage your family, go out there and speak life into them. And my uncle was a very loved person, and there had to be maybe about 400 people at his funeral, very packed, standing room only. And I stood up in front of the microphone and just poured my heart out. Not knowing really the effect that I was having on many individuals. Yeah. And after the funeral service was over, many people came up to me and said, man, your words really affected me. Yeah. They really kind of just touched me. And somebody they made a comment in a statement that I still remember to this day. They stood back there, and have you ever just spoken to somebody and then you did something, and after you speak to them again, they look at you differently. Yeah. They look at you differently. It was almost like a agreed upon respect that we had for each other. Mm-hmm. And he looked at me and he said, man, you were up there glowing. You were glowing. And I said, I'm glowing. He said, yeah, man, you got it. He said, you're glowing. And at that time, I really didn't kind of think about it too much, but over the days and over the weeks, it started dwelling in my mind. And after that, I spoke at the funeral, and somebody just randomly said, I want you to come speak here. I need you to come speak here. I'm not asking you, I'm telling you, you're going to come speak here. And I was like, man, I can't do that. They asked me to speak at a church. And I'm like, man, you want me to speak at a church? I'm like, you out of your mind. I'm not stepping to the pulpit, say something I got no business saying. They're going to kick me out the church. She said, no, you're going to speak at the church. So I mustered up enough courage, enough confidence. And I said, I'll do this. So I can recall the night before I was getting ready to speak there. You talking about a battle. Oh, man. You talking about a battle. I mean, I'm sweating. And fear is just knocking at my door. Yeah. Worry and anxiety is sitting right next to me on the couch. And I'm like, man, David, what have you signed yourself up for? You were out of your mind. You were crazy. Yeah. You were listen, you ain't got nothing valuable to say to these people. What makes you think that you are capable and you're worthy enough to go out there and speak life into anybody? And at the time, I was dealing with depression. I mean, an overwhelming amount of depression.
Yes.
And I'm like, I kept hearing the voice of fear telling me, David, how are you going to inspire people and encourage people? And you can't even do it to yourself.
Yeah.
You can't even do it to yourself. So I sat back, and many of you know I'm a man of faith.
Yeah.
I sat back and I heard the voice of God tell me, David, what I want you to do is quit entertaining the thoughts of fear.
Yeah.
Quit brainstorming these thoughts of doubt. And I want you to look at your very notes and the things that you wrote down, the things that you have done the research on, and the things that you studied. And I want you to just speak to yourself. Speak to yourself.
Yeah.
The very thing I was talking about. I was talking about the story of David and how he overcame Goliath. And I heard the voice in my mind, my intuition, and God himself saying, your giant is that fear that's telling you you're not capable, you're not talented, you're not committed enough. Listen, you've got to go out there and take down your giant.
Yes.
So you talking about the next morning, I woke up with a heart of confidence, a heart of confidence. And I was courageous, and I stepped in there and I felt so comfortable. When I released myself, when I quit entertaining the thoughts of fear, I felt as if I was in complete harmony and unison with who I was created to be. The synergy that had been developed from me eradicating that fear and stepping into my territory of confidence.
Yeah.
I just began to just speak. I'm talking speak. And really, it was like, just let go of everything. I'm just speaking from the heart and speaking spoken up there. You know, I can go for 4 hours if y'all let me to, but I would speak. And I'm sorry. I mean, I can just talk, but listen, that's
amazing. I think it's amazing what you're saying right now, because this is the purpose of this. You know, we have glory stories, right? We have all these things of what people have done and what they're doing. And when people see you, they may see this great speaker and phenomenal. But to know that you battle, you know, before a speech, you're battling with yourself just like the rest of us.
Oh yeah, I mean, and it's even still evident to this day. You know, I'm a firm believer. You know, when I teach, I'm a great member of Toastmasters, and I often teach public speaking to many individuals, and they're like, I'm so nervous, I'm fearful, I'm afraid of stumbling over my words. I'm like, listen, what we have to learn to do is channel that nervousness and channel that energy into a positive avenue.
Yeah.
You know, I get nervous before I speak to individuals. I still get nervous before I do scopes. You know, my heart's beating because really it's a lot of excitement.
Yeah.
It's a lot of excitement. That's the way I channel that, because it's a battle in between the two of you. You know, that fear and that faith that's on the inside of you. You've got to let one of them live, and you got to kick one of them out.
Absolutely.
You know, and when I did that, when I spoke at the church, after that, many people were like, man, your words really touched me. They really inspired me. They encouraged me. So I started listening to that intuition, that gut feeling that you need to go out there, become an entrepreneur, start your own business, and be a professional speaker, inspire people all across this world. But of course, I was complacent. I was comfortable. I was in an area where everything was certain. I had all the answers to all the questions. I was good. You know, I was getting a decent check at the end of the week. I'm good. And I kept telling myself, David, you've got to do this. David, you've got to make this step. David, you really aren't happy. And like I say in many scopes, when you don't move, life will often move on you, or God will move for you. So what we have to learn to do is trust in ourselves. And I got laid off after 8 years of my service. 8 years of my service. And I'm talking about, I didn't use any sick days, any personal days. After my uncle had passed away, I came in the very next day voluntarily, just to clear my mind. And they replaced me with somebody that had been working for the company for 2 months. Here it is, an individual with if you looked up loyalty in the dictionary, my face probably would have been in it. Not saying that in an egotistical way or a narcissistic way or a pretentious way. I'm just saying it, trying to just kind of paint the picture of really what the scenario was. And many people were like, man, David, you need to go out there, file a complaint with the EEOC. That wasn't right the way that they did you. Mm-hmm. But I told myself, why waste time entertaining ignorance when I can use that same energy to go out there and do what I was called to do, to do what I knew I was supposed to be doing. I knew I was supposed to be going there. And really, this is just evidence showing, okay, this is the direction you need to be going. Now, okay, your money's cut off. Now your benefits are cut off. Now, okay, you don't know where the next paycheck's coming from, but you know what? I've already equipped you with gifts, talents, and abilities. You've got the passion. You've got to put two and two together and make it work.
Absolutely.
You know? So I said, I'm not going to entertain that. I'm going to use this energy to go out there and become successful at what I know I can do. And really, it's really just been a stretching of my faith.
Yes.
It's been a deepening of my belief. It's been a challenge in my character. It's really just been a lot of commitment, a lot of sacrifice. But I know if I sacrifice who I am now, I can become who I've been created to be.
Absolutely.
You know, I'm sacrificing who I am now for who I can become. So that's what it takes when it becomes, you know, to talking about becoming a dream catcher.
Yeah.
You've got to see that vision. Got to see that vision, because there will be times in scenarios and situations that there's a lot of uncertainty. There's a lot of difficulty. There's a lot of challenges that you're going to face. But through those hard times and through those storms, you've got to keep your eyes focused on what you want to do in life, on what makes you happy.
Yeah.
What makes you know, what wakes you up every single morning.
Yeah.
And that's what gets me going. In the times when I don't have the answers to the questions, I always leverage and link on and connect to, why did you get started? Okay.
Yeah.
Why did you get started? And essentially, I'm going way off topic now.
Oh, no.
You might have to stop me and get me going. But
you're in perfect alignment, because my next question to you is going into this is, you know, through those tough times and those hard times when you're not feeling as fired up, what are the daily practices that you put in place that help you stay focused on, you know, your why and your goals?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, the daily practices are here every single morning. My mornings usually start around 4:30. I get up. And I got to walk my dogs first, of course. But before I do get out the bed, I always thank God for another day.
Yeah.
I thank God for another day. And I really just kind of had that conversation with God before I even get out of the bed. Just thinking about, you know, how far God has really brought me, thanking him for another day, thanking him for watching over and protecting me. And after I handle my business with the dogs, I always come in and typically do about 45 minutes or so with devotion. And, you know, the best book you can ever read, is the Bible. It's got great books, great knowledge, great wisdom, anything that you need. It has the guidelines stated in that when it comes to love, when it comes to becoming successful in business, when it comes to marketing. If you take the strategies of the Bible, you can apply that to your marketing and your business. You got to think about it. Jesus had 12 disciples. He had 12 disciples, meaning Christianity. It started with 12 individuals. Now it's global. It's on a global scale, meaning the entire world knows about the religion. So here it is. You've got 12 individuals that took a specific brand. They took a specific concept or philosophy and they made it viral. That's marketing at its finest.
Yeah.
So if you learn how they did that, and was essentially love on how they marketed this specific philosophy,
yeah,
that's where you get answers. So I do that. And I also have this here. Many of you guys have heard the story about my cousin. And this is him here. I've got his picture right here. Every single morning I give him a kiss. My cousin was 19 years old, passed away in February over a drug overdose, and struggled with depression and struggled with identity issues and trying to find himself. And his way to cope with that was drugs and addiction. And it got to a point that it just took a toll over his body. And he was trying to search and find answers, but couldn't find the answers. And he had made up his mind that he was trying to quit. And one thing that many people don't realize when it comes to addiction, it's not as easy as just saying I'm going to quit, because once your body gets so consumed of the drugs and used to those drugs, it becomes a biological issue. And it's like the body's fiending for it. So it's something that he really was challenged with and he struggled with. And this also adds fuel to my fire, because he's not the only person that's dealing with that. You know, many people are struggling with addictions and depression and suicidal thoughts, and they're trying to feed these voids in their life with a lot of these things that are detrimental to themselves and their bodies. And really, I'm a firm believer that if you take your passion and live your dream, you can fill that void with your meaning and your purpose.
Absolutely.
And that's what gets me going.
Yeah. Well, David, I thank you so much for sharing your story, for being vulnerable a little bit with us and letting us know what you do daily and the things that really get you going. Because again, the glory stories are amazing, but it's the struggle, the journey that helps us know, you know, we're not alone in this. There's a lot of people that want to live their dreams. They want to, they don't know where to start. And so to hear a story like yours and to see the result of, I mean, most of us, we think you're phenomenal. We just do, because you really
Thank you. Appreciate that.
helped my life. I know you've helped so many others' lives that have been listening to you, but, you know, to know your story helps me even more, because I get to say, you know, yes, I see David on there every day, you know, saying his stuff and getting it and motivating.
Yeah.
And he's powerful. But to know David was depressed one day, just like me, sitting up in a corner somewhere, battling his negativity, that helps me so much more. So I appreciate that from you. We're going to take a few questions. Before we do, though, is there anything you'd like to announce, anything that's coming up for you?
Well, you know, I'm a firm believer, man. You know, a lot of times, like I said, I'm very humble and kind of like quiet and meek. So sometimes I neglect to do the self-promote thing. You know, I'm not all even about that. All I'm really about is really inspiring the world to become their best. And you said something about many people, they neglect to take that step. And one thing that I've learned and I've realized over my journey is really the best way to take action is to take action. And it's like Mark Twain said, you know, the secret to getting ahead is getting started. Essentially, you got to make that step. You've got to go out there and be confident in yourself. Be confident in yourself, trust in yourself, and just take that step. And that's what progress is about. As long as you keep your left foot in front of your right foot and your right foot in front of your left foot, you're making progress. Of course, see the big picture, but don't be upset and frustrated when the big picture doesn't take place the very next day. You know, you can't become successful in 24 hours. Like I said yesterday on my group chat in Facebook, you know, you want to learn something every day, but don't be frustrated when you can't learn Einstein's theory of relativity in 24 hours. It doesn't happen that way. You know, if you're an artist, you can't compare yourself to the Renaissance if you're just getting started. You know, what you want to do is focus on making that one step. Focus on making that one step. And as you make those steps, you'll get better along the way. You'll make progress. Okay. But don't allow the process to prevent you from making progress, because the process will entail some opposition, resistance, the forces of mediocrity, the complacency feeling, and those uncertainty thoughts that are running through your mind. But don't allow that process to prevent you from making progress.
Absolutely. Well, thank you. I'll do some shameless plugging for you if you can't do it for yourself. So you can find David on elevationismust.com. He also has a Facebook group, Dream Catchers, that he has just started. And if you're on Periscope, you also know that he does a daily broadcast in the morning around what time, David?
9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Yeah, so definitely plug in with him. He also has a YouTube channel that I've subscribed to. He has some powerful videos on there if you guys need to pick me up. It's awesome. So awesome. Well, thank you so much again. This is DreamScope, the broadcast that inspires. The whole purpose is to help inspire people to take that first step of following, chasing, pursuing, and like David says, catching those dreams.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I'm so honored. Thank you again, David. I appreciate you.
Anytime.